The Miami Heat have responded to Jimmy Butler's comments on saying that the Knicks would not be in the second round if Butler was healthy, and we have to talk about it because it was a hilarious response. So what's up, guys? Welcome back to Knicks Digest. It's Chris here, and we're going to jump right into the video because, guys, Pat Riley did a press conference at the end of the season, and it was like his end-of-season media availability. And when he was asked about Jimmy Butler's comments, where he said this: "If I was playing, New York damn sure would be at home. Josh Hart, come on, man." Essentially saying that Josh Hart can't guard him, despite the fact that in the video I last posted showed that Josh Hart obviously can guard him. But here's what Pat Riley had to say: "If you're not on the court playing against the New York Knicks, you should keep your mouth shut." Okay. We know that Jimmy Butler loves being a member of the Miami Heat, but Pat Riley woke up and chose violence today. Now, not only did he say that, but Riley also essentially said that Tyler Hero maybe one day will shock everyone and not be fragile and play every game. He basically destroyed every single member of the Miami Heat who's not Bam Adebayo or Jaime Jaquez Jr., basically giving his praise to those two and nobody else. Now, we know Jimmy Butler's in a contract year. We know that contract stuff has not been going too well between the Heat and Butler because Butler wants a max deal that's basically going to pay him insane money till he's 40 years old, and the Miami Heat are, well, a good franchise, and they're not just going to give Butler that money because you got us to the finals twice a few years back. That doesn't matter in Miami. They don't care about what you did. It's what you're going to do. Why? Because they're a good front office. It's something the Knicks would nowadays do. You're not getting payment just because you feel like you owe it for what you gave to us. And the Heat are the same way now. And Pat Riley's always been like that because, frankly, he's good at his job, as much as it pains us to say, given that he faxed us that he was leaving our franchise back in the 90s. But it was so funny to see Pat Riley, who's a notorious rival of the Knicks, while the Knicks and the Heat have a massive trade embargo that's not going to end as long as Riley's in the Heat's front office, essentially go against his star player, name drop the Knicks specifically, and say, if you're not playing against the Knicks, if you're not playing against the Celtics, then keep your mouth shut. And basically kind of called Jimmy Butler soft for not playing, which was hilarious. Now, if you look at the 12 guys who got minutes for the Miami Heat, given Orlando Robinson got a total of 2, you'd see that Jimmy Butler did not play a single second of the playoffs due to the knee injury he sustained when Kelly Oubre fell on him. We also saw Bam Adebayo go out there and have an awesome series, while Tyler Hero did not play very well. Caleb Martin balled out. And Jaime Jaquez Jr. kind of did his thing also. Now, I'm not Heat Digest. I'm not here to talk about the Miami Heat. I'm here to talk about how this pertains to the New York Knicks. So let's do just that. Jimmy Butler called out the New York Knicks because he beat them last year. That is why he did it. And he called out the Celtics because the Heat and the Celtics have the biggest rivalry in the Eastern Conference. Now, you can't debate that because in 2020, 2022, 2023... these teams played against each other in the Eastern Conference Finals. They've gone at each other 3 times. Maybe 4, actually. It might be 4. So because the Celtics won in 2020. They went to the finals in 2022 and played the Heat. The Heat won in 2023. They lost the year prior in 7. Then, yeah, they also won in 2020. So we know the Heat and the Celtics have a long-standing history. We also know the Celtics beat the Heat another time when it wasn't in the conference finals. That was this year. Jimmy Butler's upset. The New York Knicks in the second round. Jimmy Butler's upset. He thinks he's better than these two teams. Then why'd you lead your team to an 8th seed, Jimmy? I understand you beat us both last year when you were an 8th seed. But you didn't have the same team you had this year. Things were different. And I get it. You were injured and you want to claim that's the reason why. But when you're president of basketball operations or executive, I don't exactly know what Pat Riley does because frankly, it doesn't matter. He makes the decisions. So for all intents and purposes, he's the GM, president, whatever you want to call him. But this is interesting. I kind of think that we're looking at a scenario where Jimmy Butler could leave the Miami Heat, despite what Brian Windhorst has said, because Pat Riley told Tim Reynolds of the Associated Press that they haven't earnestly discussed the contract extension on the table, and he said no when asked if they'd consider trading Butler due to the contract situation. Now, I've said in the past I would like Jimmy Butler on the New York Knicks. He's got a rapport with Thibodeau. He'd have such low volume that it actually could work really well for the team. But he's also 35, so I wouldn't want to pay that much, and the Heat wouldn't trade him here. But what could the Heat do if they trade Butler? They could move him to the Western Conference. That essentially knocks out the Miami Heat of any real discussion of being a good playoff team for the next few years. That gives the Knicks more of a window to succeed. Right now, what Jimmy Butler's looking at is having an all-time statement go by the wayside because he just called out the two best teams in the Eastern Conference right before both of them get started on a second-round matchup that they're both projected to win and face off against each other in the Eastern Conference Finals to decide who is going to the NBA Finals. But Jimmy Butler is going to be sitting at home for a while when that happens. Is he going to leave the Miami Heat and give up on trying to beat these teams? No, Jimmy's not ever going to try to give up on doing that because he's too much of a competitive psychopath. But the Heat have been one of the most dominant forces in the Eastern Conference, and now I don't think they are anymore. I think their time has come. I think every single team, no matter who you are, no matter who you play for, one day, your team, you just wake up and you don't have it anymore. You just can't run the same. As they say in the movie Moneyball, whether you're 18 or whether you're 40, at one point everyone gets told they can't keep playing. The Miami Heat are at that point where they can't keep playing with this roster. It's not going to work anymore, guys. You're done. It's time to do your thing. We know you don't rebuild, retool, but this is massive for the Knicks because the Miami Heat are a historically good matchup for them considering they play a similar style of basketball, except Eric Spoelstra is a better coach than Tom Thibodeau, as we know as Knicks fans. Not saying Tibbs is a bad coach. I'm saying Spoelstra is the best coach in the NBA. And now the Knicks don't have to deal with that for a little bit. The Knicks' window is growing. Now, they cannot let Jimmy Butler go to the 76ers. And I don't know how you stop that, but you can't let him go back. Because that makes another team better than the New York Knicks. Outside of the Celtics, who have their own problems, I think we're seeing a Miami Heat team that knows they're ready to retool. And that means the New York Knicks just have to worry about the Celtics, and they can potentially get to the NBA Finals. That makes me think the Knicks should start cashing in on these draft picks and trade for players. And they don't have to be stars. They have to be good enough players to make the Knicks a legit threat to the Boston Celtics. They need shot creation off the bench. They need a healthy Julius Randle. They could use a better starter at a wing spot and have Dante go back to being what he was initially supposed to be with this team as the sixth man. I understand how great he is. Doesn't hurt to add more talent, specifically in the form of one Mikal Bridges, if possible. Though they got some options. I'm very interested in seeing where this goes, but Pat Riley's body language told me, and this is why I made this video, Pat Riley's body, also it's funny just to make fun of the Heat and Jimmy Butler after getting roasted by his own executive, but Pat Riley's body language from this press conference told me that the Heat are about to do one of their retools where they're not that much of a threat for 3 years. It's time for the Knicks to pounce. Go get that NBA championship. Go build the team that can beat the Celtics and beat any team in the NBA. Your window starts now, Knicks. Let's see how it goes. Knicks second round starts in 2 hours. I'll see y'all there and for a post game. Have a great afternoon. I'll be watching that Knicks game with you guys.